Prince Harry, the man who once embodied royal grace, is now attempting a daring balancing act, trying to be relatable while simultaneously clinging to the privileges of his past. His recent foray into the heart of Manhattan, where he strolled through the iconic East Side ink tattoo parlor, reeking of carefully orchestrated PR, highlights this jarring disconnect. Imagine the prince surrounded by a phalanx of NYPD officers, like a gilded cage guarding a bird yearning for freedom. It's a scene straight out of a satire. A man who once commanded a nation's attention now desperately seeks a connection with the masses, all while surrounded by the very symbols of his separation from them. Was it a genuine desire to experience the gritty realities of a tattoo parlor? Or was it a desperate attempt to portray himself as a regular guy? A carefully staged performance to counteract the negative press surrounding his legal battles and recent security concerns? Perhaps Harry's visit to East Side Ink suggests that he is starting to think about getting a tattoo. Now that he has made decisions with his royal advisors about cutting tires, what could possibly go wrong? The only thing left to ask is what will happen next. Why did Harry decide to get a crown tattooed on his body in the initial set of choices for his personal ink? He had tattoos on his thinning arm, perhaps 2 large sausages for fun, or maybe Chelsea Davies' face. Wrapped within a heart, a touch of nostalgia is always a welcome feeling. Let's now imagine what would be most appropriate for the moment. He got a huge tattoo of Meghan's face on his back, starting from the top of his neck and going all the way down to his buttocks. Maybe we could put a mouth in a strategic spot between his cheeks, or try a leash around his neck, to remind him who is truly in control, or possibly just boldly printed across his chest in large letters. His choice of venue, a tattoo parlor, reeks of calculated absurdity. The prince, who once held the weight of a nation's expectations on his shoulders, is now trying to find his identity amidst a sea of ink and rebellious imagery. The question remains, what tattoo would he choose? A crown etched onto his thinning hairline, perhaps? Or a giant mural of Meghan's face, stretching from the nape of his neck to his buttocks? It's a comical thought, but it exposes the absurdity of his quest for normalcy. This desperate attempt to be seen as a fun-loving prankster is as transparent as it is misguided. The image of Harry, surrounded by NYPD cruisers, isn't a testament to his relatability. It's a glaring reminder of his privileged status, a stark contrast to the genuine connections he yearns for. Perhaps Harry believes that a trip to a tattoo parlor, a carefully staged photo op amidst the buzz of New York City, will somehow erase the negative narratives that surround him. But the reality is far more complex. He's not a struggling artist seeking self-expression. He's a prince trying to find his place in a world that no longer seems to understand him. His latest escapade, a desperate attempt to reinvent his persona, might be a temporary distraction, but it won't erase the inherent contradictions in his quest for self-discovery. The question is, will Harry ever truly shed the weight of his royal past? Will he find his place in a world beyond the gilded cage of privilege? Only time will tell. But for now, his journey remains a fascinating and sometimes painfully comical spectacle of a man grappling with his identity in a world that seems to be moving on without him.